All right, so this is our midsummer, right, live stream. We're not going to be focused necessarily on Gnostic thought. There's a lot of different content that I bring to you on this channel. It's not all going to vibe, right? So, no offense. I just feel like saying this. You're going to try to have a happy, relaxed afternoon. Welcome to all. Feel free to let us know what country you're in if you are outside of the United States, right? What is the most pressing concern in your mind? Or what has your focus? What do you think mankind is forgetting, right? Let us know in the comment section. Open chat. Number of different things may come up, right? I'm going to try to answer some simple questions, but as I try to answer your questions, as I take a deep breath, maybe we'll do a group meditation tonight. Maybe I'll wait till nighttime. There's different things I have an interest in, things we may want to pursue together. Sharing a thought, sharing a conversation. You know, at some point we could be breaking a news story, something that's happening on a global level, and be talking about something and it not be idle gossip. There's a lot of idle gossip. So what's on your mind? Obviously, I try to address the occasion. Midsummer thoughts, right? Yeah, at that time, a Bohemian Grove meeting. It's also that time of the Rainbow Family Gathering and other gatherings of people. You know, I'd like to be somewhere at a gathering. But right now, I'm just going to sit and center my focus here, right? And connect with some of you as we connect digitally. So the disclaimer, right? I'm not here to alienate people that are into Orthodox religions. What I was doing in a recent video, I just feel like sharing, is sharing with you another perspective that maybe you haven't heard. So you're not being insulted. And you could be an atheist, and someone could be asking a genuine question like, well, how do we know there even is a God? And that's a deep philosophical question. More or less, I feel that I'm not the one that can give that person the answers that they're looking for. But there are people with a healthy amount of skepticism, and that's okay. So I had a few books earlier. I didn't get a chance to read from all the books. One of them was by Robert Bruce. And so one thing that I'll do, welcome Chase Browning. Can you go off the grid in Africa? I'm sure somebody can go off the grid in Africa. I've never been to Africa. It's the ultimate off the grid. How do I feel about UK politics? There's definitely a lot of people that are angry about politics in today's day and age. And whether someone's on the left or the right, there's a lot of ways to get caught up in it. And it's all a matter of the divide and conquer program that is going on. Chase Browning, you can go ahead and go to Africa to live off the grid and give us an idea of what it's like. As far as living off the grid in the United States today, things are changing, folks. Things are changing. And what is legal today may not be legal tomorrow, if you catch my drift. And so, you know, we've seen a lot of messed up things in recent years. Is it just simply classism, or is it part of a larger agenda, Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030? So I look on the internet when it comes to off-the-grid news and things of that nature. And I look for people talking about resolutions to some of these problems that we're having. And there's a lot of off-grid websites, right? People have their own merchandise, off-grid news. But there's still a lot of things missing from the conversation. So the path that I've chosen is going my own way. And that goes for going outside of a lot of political systems. You see, I can comment on events in the world, but not be right in the middle of all those areas. I can comment on the current political system, but also do so outside the left-right paradigm. I can comment on relationships that are taking place, right? Male-female relationships, programming in men and women today. And I can do so without promoting hatred of women or hatred of men or certain types of men or certain types of nationalities. I can go outside the box. I have a right. I have a freedom that I'm expressing. Expressing that freedom of individuality isn't always easy. You know, I like celebrating. I like festive things. It's good to celebrate, be festive around people that are a little bit awake. Trying to think of what times in my life those things have happened. You know, we don't have to necessarily agree with everything that somebody says, for example, in a video or a lecture. Yeah, with regards to Donald Trump, people have lines drawn in the sand and people fighting in the streets. Basically, I think sometimes people use politics as a cover for the fact that they really want to go and fight in the streets. So if there are certain things that are happening in the world, right, where people can get all pumped up, and there may be examples, things that come to mind, then get really, people really, really pumped up, violent, right, just fill in the blank. Those things are taking place. Just because the masses may seem angry because someone's in office doesn't necessarily mean that those masses are actually trying to do something to stop the wars. With all due respect to people that, you know, say they're protesting because of legitimate issues, and I understand that. I also know that during the time that we had Barack Obama in office, I didn't see the same passion to end the wars. Morning, Victor. So what I won't do is keep this on politics. What I won't do is keep this on Gnostic perspectives. We won't keep it on off the grid. We definitely won't be engaging in any gender bashing. Who knows how long this will go on? We're 7 minutes into it. But I don't have a set because I want to keep things open. But yes, so much in our world revolves around some of the names, some of the same people, some of the same politics. And in many, many cases, we really are lacking discussion in other areas. And so the imagination, as I go free flow, the human imagination to have one's own truth. There's power in being able to step away from the masses. A lot of people are really uncomfortable in their own silence. Say for most people, there's an easier, softer way, and it's working for somebody else. As we were discussing with regards to spiritual attacks while on the road yesterday, people may not know why they're encountering the negativity from others in this day and age. And it may be because they're waking up and their vibrations changing and they go into certain environments. Certain people are going to want to push them out. And this is just how it is. And if you kind of see this happening in our world, see beyond boxes, illusions of separation, the idea that it's just happening to one group. And one of the things that I've realized in my own travels is there is this type of unjust fear of the outsider, right? Well, are all outside ideas or things bad? What about new ideas? If people feel so negatively, for example, say a part of rural America, and the reality could be that their economy could be suffering for a certain period of time, and then people may be migrating to that part of rural America because other areas may have become more expensive, and people could be contributing to the economy in some way, shape, or form if certain businesses were to flourish. And I think that, just speaking generally, there's a lot of different ways in which our economy could be flourishing, not just simply based on the current industries. It's like people are still in a really early stage of even development. We've really only been around so long as a species. We've really only been around so long as a nation, right? So certain elements of commerce, certain elements of independent businesses, these are really new concepts. Certain things I haven't gotten deep in, certain things I've never even tried to start, right? Like selling t-shirts or mugs to help supplement funding for doing what I do full time. And I could go that direction, or I could go another direction, and who knows what the future holds. But the reality is, we do live in that type of reality now where the future is now. with this type of a live stream is possible. No, the internet bill isn't free, but it is free for me to upload to YouTube. And it is free for you to be able to watch this. So in my early 20s, that's when I first really got online full time and started looking at the world in a whole different way. This was after 9/11. And so the internet has been a pretty solid, intricate, full-time part of my reality since the early 2000s. And I can see ways in which it's positively impacted my reality. Shifting this little microphone here. So I have this on the edge of a desk. And I'll just do this real quick. And I could see how we could spend years building up our platform, obviously so, on Facebook and other social media sites. We could see Facebook replacing our relationships and friendships. And then wake up to a day to where we're barely reaching the people that have signed on to our networks or are following our social media sites. So now, at least that's what I'm narrating, we're in a period of time in which we're having to deal with that challenge that we're facing and have to go around those networks. As I said at the tail end of the last live stream, so I'm still in this welcome Indigo Scout. Finding the left-right paradigm is one example. People tend to think in polarities, forgetting that there are often 3, 4, 5, or even more options. And yeah, I'm gonna reiterate some of my views, even if it's repetitive. When I look at Portland, Oregon, I'm sad because I see what resembles gangs. Even if someone, right, and our main focus of today's videos are going to be stuck on this. I know there are people that enjoy this channel that like Donald Trump, and I allow that. I'm not at war with them energetically. There was a time in which I thought that I was. I do find it unfortunate. I think there's a lot of decent people in their heart that support presidents. I wish I lived in a world where that wasn't like the number one thing in which it all mattered about. I'm going to allow myself the freedom to just think and then say what I'm feeling. As different comments send me emotionally in different directions to different parts of my brain. Okay, there may have been a lot of people that said they were against the war, that were for Obama, that may have been generally good people, but they wanted to believe. Kind of like that, UFO poster. I want to believe it's the same thing today. I say that it's sad. This is unnecessary. It is the ultimate attack on community for people to literally divide. And I've said they have this divide down the line to where if you subscribe with just mainline one or the other, there's a network for you, right? And I'm trying to be calm and kind to my Republican and Democrat viewers. I'm saying, right, you guys got your networks. You have your communities. And then the people that make these YouTube channels they're promoting, whether it's just Democrat stuff, Kyle from Secular Talk, or you're going to have conservatives on the right. They have massive audiences and support because they're in this tribal structure of this Team A, Team B. What I've always represented since my very first video in 2004 and 5 was a departure from the left-right paradigm. Now, that's led to other departures from other paradigms. There are going to be people that are attracted to my work from some video or another, and it may throw them off guard. Whoa, this guy's outside of this paradigm. Is he against me? Does he not like what I would recommend, right, is to cultivate and water and blossom the individual that is you, because there's the real you. I'm not here identifying with mainline religious or political people. I live outside that box. I've actually faced a lot of personal hardship in my own life by not getting behind certain boxes. So catering, unfortunately for some people that may want me to, catering to a number of different people isn't going to work for me while I'm living off the grid. Because of the choices that I made in this life, right? I faced certain challenges, and things could have been easier if I just picked a side or believed in one party or the other. So we're still at a point in time where there's a lot of division over those things. There's a lot of other people out there that may have similar thoughts on things. Internet is a noisy place. Some say it's more competition. But see, there's a number of different things. It's not just the algorithm. It's the fact there are so many YouTube channels. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Somebody could be like maybe only having 47 views. Please don't be discouraged, new YouTubers. Right? Believe in yourself. As I've heard others say, there could be something that you're talking about that someone's going to be looking up in 3 or 4 years. It's going to have value at some point. And that's the thing. And I've seen that within my own videos. Also, times in which we're suffering, not to make this all about Gnostic thought, but the spiritual interpretation of things. It's a constant theme on this channel. Through suffering, we can find the way home. Through suffering, we can have an epiphany. And we can take that epiphany and we can share with others. I had some examples of that, but I'm going to pause. Does Alex like turtles? There actually is a video called I Like Turtles with a kid with this zombie makeup. I like turtles. So there is a viral video called I Like Turtles. I'd like to live in a world where the political BS doesn't exist, says another, but it does. We certainly aren't ignoring the BS, the political BS. We're aware of it. It's called the Manufactured Civil Unrest Divide. Several dozen videos about it on this channel over the years. And people can choose to participate in it. Welcome, Iron Maiden. Alex has the best shirts online. So you need to be aware of the left-right divide and how people are being pulled in to like their political gangs of the moment and being told that they have to pick a side. This is like very old world, very medieval. So it's important to be aware of it. I understand where people are coming from when they say just focus on the positive, right? And to a certain degree, we talked about that. Our thoughts do impact reality to a certain degree, but we need to be aware of potential threats. People that go in some of these radical extreme directions, I've talked about in many, many videos, how different the average people are in quote unquote the truth movement. Now versus years ago, when I first got involved in things in Portland, Oregon, and there were actually like get-togethers, 9/11, people that questioned that event, things of that nature, is a sense of camaraderie. Also, people were very, very, it was more of a community-oriented thing. It seemed that way after 9/11. And as I got more involved in interviewing different people and getting to know different people and things I won't mention here on the air, certain larger voices that are in the research community, you get a real vibe for what their real motivations are. Whether or not it's one big giant competition for who has the ultimate truth. And so I've really seen a decline in that overall camaraderie state, right? There really was a sense, but sometimes a tragedy can do that. So something like the aftermath of 9/11, and then things unraveling like the Patriot Act, and then people rallying around the cry to defend our freedom without just going the direction the mainstream wants us to go in. So we've been on this path for a long, long time. And so have I. But again, it's very difficult to believe in political movements as a solution, looking at things from the larger perspective, whether it be left-based or right-based. And so, because I'm not here to promote a political message, and I'm just here to share my mind, I encourage independent individual thought. People that enjoy the Alex Answer YouTube channel enjoy the channel because of the philosophies and because of the outside-the-box ideas. There are so many channels out there, though, that do cater to these mainstream, mainline ways of thought. And I think if there's another group of people out there that aren't really represented by Fox News, by InfoWars, by people on the controlled left, by the Young Turks, right? And they're looking for something different. You know, and I'm still thinking about that. But my life isn't over. I'm still here. I'd rather be here today doing a live stream with you um, instead of pretending that I'm somebody that I'm not, dealing with society out there at a protest somewhere, either on in proportion support of the left or the right. Right? You want to go that particular direction and just pick a side, there's a party waiting for you. There's going to be some ladies waiting for you. Also, there's a lot of people that still are complaining, right? Saying that people are going to the other political side, so they're out of political partners. So you're saying Trump didn't win the political vote? Because if Trump did win the political vote, then there should be a plethora, right, of conservative women for conservative men. If conservative women and conservative men aren't shacking up, it isn't because of mainstream mind control. It's their friggin' personalities. And I know this makes sense to a lot of you. This is real common sense. But just a general reminder, this is a quote-unquote degenerate society, right, on the left and the right. And that's going to be pre-existing in their relationships. So when you have a predominant, both Democrat and Republican society, if there are any issues between those men and women, it's on those men and women. It's not on other men and women from other places on the planet. No, 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 no. Take accountability, American men and women. It's your relationship problems, not somebody else coming in. No, no, no. You guys got the freedom of choice. And you got the freedom to argue. And you got the freedom to cause a scene and throw stuff at each other in a freaking Walmart parking lot. And you got that freedom, right? So be responsible. And don't be blaming other people for your relationship problems. Don't be blaming other people for your political issues. Work it out. You got whole-scale communities where you can just be among, quote, your own tribe, and you still have police intervening in domestic violence cases. Utopia as an idea amongst one, then do it. Have a place in America, several of them, that's just for one ideology of politics or ethnicity or religion. The utopia doesn't exist. People can claim that the utopia, the isolationist utopia exists, but it doesn't actually exist. So Alex, did you have any success with your garden? Okay, so here's the thing. By being an off-gridder and having an 86 Camry, I only truck up so much water, and I want to have extra water on reserve because of potential emergencies. So one of the things when we initially planted, I didn't keep track of where everything was planted, so I'm trying to be concerned with my water. The peas came up. I also bought some jalapenos and serrano peppers. So what I'm doing is I'm doing an experimental garden off the grid. With my friend's help, we got some mulch and some potting soil. And I haven't completely finished it. I'm seeing what comes up naturally. And what I want to strategize for in the future long term, first of all, I got to finance a truck at one point. Need to come up with at least $1,000 or to save that, which right now is difficult with how little I'm making on the YouTube AdSense. Very special thank you to Anna and others that have donated in the super chat. It makes this possible. It makes this more enjoyable. Also, as YouTube does what it does to discourage us. So what I want to be, folks, is practical with what I do plant. So I'm in Southern Colorado. It gets a fair amount of sun, intense sun. You know, I haven't gotten deep into growing cannabis. I am doing a test with one plant that someone gave me as a clone, but that's what most people do because that's more profitable. For growing lots of vegetables in mountain type environments where you need a lot of water, it's a little more specific to plant certain things where it's going to be worth it. What is my favorite dystopian movie? I will get to that. I see there's a lot of comments there. I'm looking to read a few. So I can show you some pictures, but the peas are growing okay, the corn is growing okay, but I'm asking myself, is it really worth it to be planting certain things? I need to continue to research this, maybe meet some farmers that are in the local geographic area, maybe some other off-gridders, because Water is scarce. I'm out at the bottom of the hill. I'm at the top of the hill. So even when it comes to issues like rainwater harvesting, we have not gotten that much rainwater this year. Dystopian movies. Dystopian movies. So yeah, Indigo Scout is in the house. I actually opened up another page because I thought if it was slow today, I would just answer comments live that were placed earlier. But yeah, he commented on, and yeah, I'm sure it was propaganda for the early 80s, definitely. It was called The Day After. It was 1983. That's not my favorite dystopian movie, but that is something that I talked about recently on this channel. They Live is dystopian. The Matrix is dystopian. Let me go off the beaten path. Is it called The Island? That's interesting. Do I have any favorite stuff that's in my collection here? I'm not a big fan of Will Smith. I Am Legend is interesting. I can identify with the isolation experience and feeling kind of like the world already ended. Here I am living off the grid, just waiting for the actual announcement. It's like, I do seriously, though, think there are signs of systematic collapse of civilization and the basic social foundations where people are no longer communicating with each other like humans, that being like the beginning of the end. I think like we're seeing warning signs. I'm hoping, like a lot of other people that want to be on the positive and spiritual, that humanity will grow up and come out of this cycle of decadence. But at the same time, we haven't hit bottom yet. I know we haven't hit bottom yet. Something we know. We know humanity can do worse than what it's doing. That alarms us. Oh, if you do want to donate, I don't have a preference. I mean, covert radio, there's a couple different options. There is super chat, but they all take like a little fee, PayPal included. I think it's like 10%. And someone mentioned in an email that I should open up a gogetfunding.com because it takes the least amount of percentage. I haven't done that, right? But I appreciate you asking. I think they're all about the same. Super chat, that all might be about the same. I also have outsidethebox.vhx.tv. Sometimes I feel motivated to create content on the exclusive channel because certain things I think aren't so safe for YouTube. Not so much politically. I think that's safe. I think they don't mind people really discussing some elements of geopolitics. I'm concerned that as the censorship increases, right now it seems to be a little bit more relaxed than it was a year ago. The censorship issues with YouTube tend to go on and off. The behind the scenes censorship is they limit our reach. That's the behind the scenes censorship. No one's stopping us from saying anything. But if we're using their platforms, they can try to manipulate. They can demonetize videos. You know how it goes. They can disincentivize. They can force people back in the workplace. Now, some people want to see that. Some people want to see a YouTuber fail. During hard times, I've had to go back to work. I found that it's not easy for me to maintain my YouTube channel and to go to work. I've determined in the end, right, that I should be doing this more often, that this is my real job, and I'm not really remembered by any of the glasses of water that I poured. Okay. In some situations, during some times, it is easy to do multimedia and to work. Those were kind of golden years for me when I was busting tables for 5 years to the day. I don't know if you guys want to hear me reminisce on that. I'll go back to the comments here in a minute, but I'm trying to free myself from being rigid and in the box and going on a tangent, right? And try to, just try to force through a point that isn't going to be forced through past 5 minutes. I made my point, move on. I'm glad that a guy like me has memories of being a busboy at a Republican corporation called Ruth Chris Steakhouse. It felt so awkward. But I'm telling you, even Alex Ansary, who was like a known 9/11 truth person, running around with the megaphone, right? I remember my old boss, he was a Texan. He accepted me for me. He respected the fact that I even had a cable access TV show. He even joked about the profanity I was using on one of my streams, one of my cable access TV shows. Like, hey, you better watch your mouth. But it's like, here's a Republican. He supports George Bush. And Alex Ansary is saying what he's saying about those things, and it's becoming a police state. He accepted me for me. So when you hear me kind of reference like more positive days in Portland, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a day and age where there isn't such a prejudice against a YouTuber or a cable access host. It's kind of novel, kind of cool. And so I want to remind people, and I appreciate you guys for appreciating this and being there, but we really have, again, we're in a direction where, and a reality now where there's all different types of media. And at one point, it was very novel for someone to find something independent. Now, when people find independent political views, they've been pre-programmed by the mainstream media and some of their family and others to have a bias against it. Look at this guy on YouTube. And so when I tell you that I actually did meet a woman where I told her I used to make way more on YouTube, like 500 a month. I'm down to 100 a month. By the way, now we're back to 150. Thank you to those that have donated on Super Chat, because you make up for the fallout, right? And there's no pressure to do that either. But because this is part of the new paradigm of the new economy of being your own media, not just simply blaming the media, which is a motto that I was using earlier in the day, and so was Clyde Lewis. Don't blame the media, be the media. And things like that are real. I remember a time where people really did see the uniqueness, the novelty of one show that wasn't the mainstream media that was discussing the never-ending war. So we're talking about 2005, 6, and 7. And I'm saying is that type of a spirit of people really appreciating that. There are people that they think are against the wars that are in the mainstream media. I think people are deceived. They're deceived by a lot of people on MSNBC. They're deceived by a lot of people in the mainstream media. They know what they're doing in the mainstream media on both the left and the right. Fox News does a lot of specials where they sound like they're pitching for the little guy. We have people like Tucker Carlson. I could see people as the agents that they are. And now it's like, oh, you're now the modern Judge Napolitano. They believe in sovereignty, and they believe in freedom, and they believe in America being strong. There will always be like that mainstream media guy on the left and the right for the masses. It's the hot dogs for the masses. Tucker Carlson is what they have for the right. On the left, I guess Maddow may not be as popular anymore. I guess we have Ed Schultz, who passed away recently. I don't have any conspiracy ideas on that one. Let's go back to that, though. I'm going to mention this point, then I'll look at the comments. When I started Outside the Box TV as a weekly series on cable access, it was very novel. And I was proud to display that I addressed the idea of the global conspiracy. And I knew that I was going against the grain, especially bringing up 9/11. But there was a sense of novelty that people appreciated because it just wasn't, there wasn't a lot of media that people had already been exposed to. I'd get this a lot in the past. I still get it. But I would get it a lot then from cable TV audiences. Because remember, these people are watching Comcast cable. There's no show like yours at all, Alex. And they weren't just talking about cable TV. They were talking also about cable access. But then Bill Olson, shout out to Bill Olson, started his show, which was solely about 9/11. He would also help out many other shows. And I think it's very synchronistic and interesting that after this turn of the century, we walked into the age of YouTube. And I think that it became, 2005. I started my channel in 2006. So I started an account fairly early on, as soon as YouTube began. And YouTube was only several years after I started the cable access show. I didn't know that YouTube was coming. I don't know how I would have reacted if you said, one day, Alex, you'll be doing this over the internet, not in Portland, Oregon, to only a local audience, but on the internet. And it won't be taking you hours to record a video and then compress a video, just like I was doing last month, only to wait the next morning to upload it. You'll be doing it instantly. We've reached that point in time. And the question is, how can we use this technology to improve our lives and help build stronger communities? John, welcome. As far as alternatives to YouTube, I have not seen other networks, channels, websites to where I think it's worth it for me to double my time and energy into it, like DTube and others. It's also a lot of work to create content. So on my birthday in the year 2007, I started OutsideTheBox.vhx.tv. That is my alternative platform. As more of you sign up, but if you don't want to subscribe, then don't. This is not an infomercial, right? But I did create my own platform. If I was to ever disappear from YouTube, right, OutsideTheBox.vhx.tv is my private members only platform. Now, anyone that would like to support my work in a other way other than PayPal, and as more people sign up, certain things I enjoy discussing, but I really don't think I should discuss them on YouTube. There's privacy concerns. Sometimes it's things that I just shouldn't put on YouTube. So if something like super catastrophic or something to that, post a link. Well, I don't have a link there, but I'm getting back in the swing of being online, right, after taking some time off. So one of the things that I'm doing is trying to post more to my websites, although lately I've just been doing YouTube. I haven't really, you got to be in a mindset to post news and blogs. It's very repetitive, very left brain, very boring. But basically, even though I do have AH's help with some technical things, I run the websites and post the content to the websites. Over there, you'll find a link to OutsideTheBox.vhx.tv. Over there, you'll find the link to the PayPal. So I'm not able to post in the live chat, but just simply reference over to the websites. Getting back to that, I have an agenda to populate SolarMaxNews.com with all different types of information about the sun. I want to post geopolitical information and news over to WorldWarZero.com and have that website all about geopolitics. I have 5 websites. I have a third website called Offgrid, OFFGRID.co.com. I have a dream that at one point we'll have a bulletin board there and people that are living off the grid in perhaps a future dystopian American movie situation. I know I was going to get back to other movie recommendations. I want to be able to help people with my websites. And we all know that some people are going to have a bias against conspiratorial speakers and content. We all know that. So I figured out years ago, I got to figure out a way to be a little bit more chameleon-like to reach people and share with them the information without necessarily adding in the stuff about the archons. Me and my friends have a running joke about, Alex, when you go in for a job application, don't talk about the archons. You know, so a lot of people aren't ready for these unique perspectives. And I've come across a lot of people like that. So as far as one of the things that I've been brainstorming as a way to affect some change through education regarding certain issues, be it geopolitics, be it off-grid living, be it about how the sun is proven scientifically to influence things in our world. That's a long list. The information has to be separated. AlexHansery.tv is its own website. And then there's another one called thedailymatrix.com, which I thought could be a good website for information about spiritual protection. I'm one person, though, with a lot of different websites, right? Not everyone's able to pull that off to where those websites or one of them becomes successful and kind of takes off within its own niche. But each one of those websites, I'm convinced, has the potential to do that. Even the point where like enough income is coming in to where I'm self-sustaining. I only need to raise a few hundred a month just to make it to a certain degree. I have land payments, but I'm not a city person. That's what I'm getting at. If you look at a lot of the people that are on YouTube, especially some of the bigger ones that bought out studios or in spaces, unless Kyle from Secular Talks at his mom's house, and I guess that's possible for him to be a viral YouTuber and be living with grandma. He's obviously paying. Oh, he lives in New York. See, so these are New Yorkers. So I'm not here attacking anybody. I'm here to say that I have the benefit because of the lifestyle of going into a part of rural America, because I wanted to save more money and spend more time doing this, right? Because if I'm not able to do this, or if I'm not able to live off just a certain amount every month, if I had a more expensive lifestyle, then what would I be doing with my life? I would be trapped in something that would take me away from this, right? And that's not meant to disrespect other people that are working now. Most of my life has been spent working for others. I'm 38. It isn't until I was 36 or 37 a few years ago that I was even in a position to be able to do this full time, living on 1 acre, and it's not easy. I do miss going out. Not that anyone asks, I do miss restaurants. Ooh, good Thai food, good buffets. I do miss a little bit of travel. And I want more of that in my life. I want to know people in Denver. And I'll tell you what, it's been difficult for me to get, it's not a matter of followers. I don't like the social media term followers. We're talking about real allies to where you'll show up because you understand each other and you'll show up and back the other person up with their protest or their, let's just say that protest is, sometimes we do need to make a little noise and let our voice be the thing that is heard, or a weapon of choice, but it's not really a weapon, but used to be a catchphrase, let your voice be your weapon of choice, but it's not a weapon, right? But truth is meant to be shouted from the streets. Man, there's been so many memories I have. Some of my best memories are during the Bush and Obama administration, where people that were supposedly truthers came together and yelled together in the streets. What you're seeing right now, no disrespect to those of you that are just hardcore in the left-right paradigm, we don't feel that Holy Spirit anymore. We're very concerned about the current divide and the two groups that are fighting each other. We're not seeing the people united against the system at all. We're seeing the system divide and conquer a society. It's actually heartbreaking. The last thing anybody would want to do right now, with good common sense, is go down to a place like downtown Portland looking for a fight. I think that a lot of people, even if you have your passionate views on politics, and I'm saying this in every video now, you have a right to believe whatever you want, support anybody. But people got to check themselves. There are people that are intentionally, because, oh, they have a philosophical debate over crossing the red line. Don't cross this line or we'll do, oh yeah, well, you're not gonna. Just, you know what, let it go. You don't need to be a part of that civil unrest scenario. Let's go to the comments. I'm gonna probably have to make some tea here. Iron Maiden, all the flat earth nonsense. We have dealt with waves of flat earth themes, and it comes and it goes right now, because I think it's deliberate disinformation. And all of a sudden now people are going to tell me the sun doesn't exist. How do they know that? How are they so quick to dismiss the ebook that I wrote? And it's its first version, right? By the way, you just want to check something out, go to solarmaxnews.com. That's one of the 5 websites. Click on the ebook and just scroll through it. And there can be aftermath thoughts, right? But I wrote that in 2013. I just decided to publish it in recent years. I thought one day I would perfect all my knowledge and whatnot. It'll be a great encyclopedia. That's what I wrote in 2013. Check it out. And it's not saying that the world's ending. It's saying that these are cycles of war, cycles of, I don't want to say it because YouTube always flags it. They've been demonetizing all my videos, false flags, right? Things like that. They orchestrate their false flags, I believe, during these periods in which we have more solar flares, because biological human beings are hormonally affected and affected in other ways. They can be led into certain directions. This is valuable knowledge because we can start to see their methodology of attack on human consciousness. We can see their psychic warfare over the population. Once we start to understand that they're trying to manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum in so many different ways, and they may turn off the technology or turn up the technology, turn up the 5G in the future when we go through a solar maximum. It's almost as if in certain urban areas, they may try to make people go insane. Problem, reaction, solution. Affect enough brains in a certain area because of magnetic changes. Then they can bring in the troops. I mean, we could talk about like 10 different reasons to go off the grid, 20 different reasons to go off the grid. But you can take the person out of Babylon. You can't necessarily take Babylon out of the person. Remember to thumb up if you're getting solid audio and video, and if you're enjoying the content. All those 3 elements and more. You can also thumb up if the audio sucks. Well, hopefully we've come a long way. This is the camera that I was shooting with. This is from General Electric. But you saw me do a video recently at the park. And looks like I had this in a box. It's much better than a flip cam, right? But this is the 1080, 920 by 1080 camera. For a while, I've been using a flip cam. My friend sent me a box of them. So over the years, I've been experimenting with more of these travel cams. So one of the things that I've been thinking of, especially this is decent quality, is going up to Denver, Colorado. Once more viewers find my channel that are in the state of Colorado or other areas in Colorado, meeting people of like minds and partying like it's 1999. With all seriousness, acting like it's 2006 again. It literally like this part of the solar cycle, like maybe that's it. Maybe the influence of the solar cycles is so great, right? There will be a period in which people are coming together. People seem united over certain ideas. There's going to be other periods in which there's not a whole lot going on. And it's like, I never had my summer of 67. Have you? Have you had summer of 69? It was the summer of 69. I lived my whole life hearing rock stars pump out nostalgia about the good old days. And I try to be grateful for the things that I have in my life, right? But I don't have some of the same nostalgic memories of like, like Karate Kid where he goes to the fair and the girls on the ride with them, and it's da, da, da. It's such a fairy tale. It seems like I missed that generation. So whether we're talking about romance, I am speaking for a lot of people, or whether we're talking about activism, people want to see a resurgence of the good old days. And, look, I don't want to get super political. This Make America Great Again and taking us back is like a Coke commercial. There's nothing wrong with this, take you back, something from Rocky. The idea of going back to good old days where you bought a hamburger and it was worth every, wasn't just squished little, just because people gravitate around that idea doesn't mean that the person that's using that as branding is genuine. Just because they put up a picture and they show you the plump hamburger for $5.69, and when you buy it and you get it, it's all squished. The way they're looking at it is that's marketing. You market it a certain way and a certain amount of people will buy it. Sure, there's going to be some people that don't want to buy the burger. Most people are going to look at that and go, they're going to think they might be getting that. And even if they know they're not getting that, they may have found a way to like it. They may be a return customer. Hell, McDonald's says how many billion served. So they're going to go back time and time again, even though they know they're being deceived. That says it's a plump burger, but it's not a plump burger. But they become a loyal customer. They become a raving fan, or shall I say lunatic, when we're discussing the political version of this. Going to the comments. Lol. Where's my summer of 69? And then give me another one. I'm gonna run to you. Yeah. I've never been in a situation where I was just running across the nation to a girl. Oh, back. Romance. It was awkward when I hung out with my ex-girlfriend when I went back to Portland. I did sleep in her bed. She slept on the ground. No hanky-panky. 2014. More information than he needed. I know. She had one of those like electric grounding things. So you like plug it into the wall, put it on your bed, and like helps you ground. She was wild though. She was wild. Very, very 2009-ish. I guess, I'd been living in harsh Costilla County desert terrain. And perhaps Alex had changed. Alex, you changed? Well, I'm not so sure the changes that occurred with me are negative changes. I think that I started to evolve when I started traveling and getting out of Portland and just changing up my environment. And being in environments and places where like, why'd you come here with nothing in your RV, bum? Why are you living this way? And like that whole experience with Costilla County, all that spiritual warfare, all that spiritual attack. Now, I'm telling you, when you're sensitive and your family to begin with, that stuff hurts. And I'll tell you what, they're not being accidental when they do that. It took me a long number of years to figure out some people are. Some people are deliberately hurtful because they're thinking, don't be nice to these people. These outsiders come in trying to move in the car. No, you dog them. You be mean to them. Somebody that subscribed to my channel who's in the state of Colorado, right? She left a comment that was heartless. After all the videos, she's like, Alex, the people in my neck of Colorado, and she's talking about a new age town, are just so beautiful and wonderful. And she's doing the same dance that Portlanders do. And I'm not being mean or angry by bringing this up. It's wrong when people hold up how nice their marriage is and their home is and how great their life is. And when they hear from a single young man that's been struggling much of his life in a world where classism does dominate state politics, more so than racial tensions to a certain degree. What you have, what you don't have, whether you're going to bring in a lot of money to it. A lot of people don't have empathy for those of us that are coming into some of these areas as single men that are incredibly low income. There's like high income, middle, low, and there's where I am. Thank you guys for your support and super chats. Because being down here just under lower class just helps me do what I'm doing. And unfortunately, we do live in a day and age where people believe that just being poor in general is like akin with being sinful, or that someone wants to be poor. What about someone adapting to living with less? So there are people out there that will find their YouTube channels and act like they care about the feelings of the host when they care about their own entertainment. When they care about going, oh, wow, somebody is talking about the state that I live in. That's so cute. But they may still hold in all that Babylonian judgment. And the things that I hope to see more of, if there's elements of our society that are evolving, are people that understand those things to where 5 minutes doesn't need to be taken to explain to someone how certain comments are blatantly rude. Certain ways of behaving, certain ways of talking are blatantly disrespectful. And so the thing is, we want to build friendships. We want to have barbecues. We want to have our summer of 69. But we want to like the people that are in that crowd. And we want them to like us. And there shouldn't be some like political fighting between our friends. There shouldn't be somebody. You see, people are people, and we're not always going to agree. But there are basic principles of compassion, basic principles of respect. Haven't you ever had an experience to where you just knew you can trust someone with your life and you've known them for a few minutes, and then other people, you just know that there's some malicious intent? There are people that I've just known for a few minutes just from like an intuitive, and it's like, that's a person. And then there's other times in which I've been schooled by my own bias and I've been thrown under the bus. You see, here's how spiritual attack manifests for a public speaker like me. When you're open and you're contacted by different individuals, including people that may want to do private podcasts or have private conversations in private on the side, people have different intentions for what it is that they're doing. And society has changed in recent years. The behavior, the male behavior. There's a lot of people that like to popularize MGTOW and being critical of just women. Quite a bit of the male behavior that I've come across. I'm not speaking of those of you that are watching or those of you in the comment section, right? And it's okay that people are watching and dropping off. I don't expect you to watch the whole stream. Take the information that matters and leaves the rest. How do I say this? It's not about one group, one gender. A lot of people have been socially engineered to be conflict-oriented. You know, some of it may be our natural state, but a lot of it is mass media, right? So there was less conflict-oriented people in the alternative media after George Bush, after 9/11. 9/11 was a horrible thing, and just the idea of the deception. And what they did in the United States is they maintained their Patriot Act, but it was the idea of people coming together around a common understanding. That common understanding has been broken, and it can come back again. I'd like to see the people come together, rally around an idea or something without it being a disaster. Can we kind of like evolve? And I'm just planting seeds. People can watch these videos in the years ahead, because the way that I look at this video series is, I am narrating what happened to our society before our society went over the cliff. I think that there is a lot of assumptions that things are just going to end up a certain way or maintain a certain level of stability. But it's like all of the stuff, like if you were able to actually listen to the radio casts or the blogs or the private videos of someone that lived through very historical times, like Nazi Germany, or other periods, right? It may not have been understood by the people of that day and time, but years later and years after those people may have been offed, for example, right? All of a sudden the relevancy factor goes up. when society goes in certain directions? Will people in the future, will historians of the future be looking into the archives to see whatever really happened in this country? Will there be attempts to recreate history? Will there be attempts to remove history? Watch and see what happens with the internet. Okay, taking a breather. Taking a breather. We're going to see what's in the chat. We have a fan here today to keep the profound sweat from creating a river here. We have beautiful weather outside, but like I said, we need to continue to pray for rain for Colorado because we're in thunderstorm season. We're seeing lightning, which can cause fires, by the way, and that's natural as we go deeper into a solar minimum. 2020 will be in a deep solar minimum. I was answering questions in a recent chat that yes, even though the potential is there for the government or other groups, think foreign governments, to manipulate our weather, do not discount the natural things that do exist, that do occur. And the fires that are occurred, that are caused by lightning, which has been around longer than technology, that can accentuate the electromagnetic spectrum. Facebook magnified the old mentality of us against the Jones. Bigger house, bigger SUV type mentality. Washington Skywatch. When they don't care about themselves. And that was in relation to something that was said earlier. Let me scroll up. John says, I hate Facebook, never have had it. Maybe in the last past life, you had your summer of 67 or 69. Now, there is a part of Alex answering, and even a young Alex answering, and I'll just be out in the open about it. I mean, I think elements of 70s music, not just 80s, but disco, is pleasurable to listen to. And there's a part of me that feels romantic with regards to the idea of being close to women from maybe even another time in age. There is a part of me that feels like, and some people don't believe that we've lived before, but say that we have cellular memories, so we remember the memories of our ancestors. But this hauntingly familiar sense of being invaded and the women being taken away from us type of a horrible sensation seems to be in, whether it be in my body cells or my soul history. Have I lost a family in the past? So things like that come up for me. On a spiritual note, yeah, I feel like I have been battling these evil forces for multiple lifetimes. I'm going to lose certain people talking about that. As I said earlier in this video, I welcome people to enjoy my channel and my ideas that may have orthodox views. I'm going to every now and then, though, put a line in the sand and talk about something that people haven't even considered. They may not have ever once heard about the Gnostic Gospels, and that there are additional quotes that are attributed to Jesus. And so people could be thinking that, oh, somebody's antichrist if they're not for our system. Well, that's just like those people that say you're either with us or you're with the terrorists. So it's important that people go beyond, right, that type of thinking. It's toxic thinking, this duality. And have to sit here and place like this constant focus and attention on just being open and welcoming with all people. But the vast majority of those that will accidentally find my content, by their base nature as a human, will reject all of the videos and all of the content because it doesn't play into a particular paradigm. What that means is the quality of the viewers stands out over the years, as many come and go. Occasionally hearing from people that have been around for multiple years, but most people come and go. So when I'm critical of those things, it's for a reason, but there's many people that are out there that have been around for a number of years. And for me, it's the idea of building community online. This is what I care about. I don't care about hockey. I don't care about basketball. This is my life, right? I have pledged this lifetime towards speaking about certain things. I've looked at the internet as something, Facebook and all of that, something that destroys our real human relationships. You can start out by being a real friend with someone in Facebook because people can get political on Facebook and share their emotions on Facebook. And maybe more, Facebook's a place where people dump and vent. And I think that it'd be great if people had a little bit more tolerance and people were sharing, right? But that's like more than what most people are able to deal with when they're on social media. Countless, thousands of people, potential friends, allies. I'm going to add this guy on Facebook and watch him for a long, long, long time. And that's fine, right? But the question is, does Facebook enhance the real friendships or does it take away? It's not a popular thing to say, especially when you're talking about the detrimental effect of social media while using social media. So what's the solution? Of course, there is no ultimate solution to anything. There's just ideas on how it could be better. Well, years ago, I also got some experience trying to organize private groups of, say, people that wanted to go off the grid, right? Or develop their own independent communities. And then I found out 6 years early on, you can do that. You can create a group. You can even say, and I've seen others do it, anybody, just show up. You could just show blind faith to everyone that everyone is trustworthy and still end up like by yourself in the middle of the desert, wondering when the people are going to show up. And that's not an easy thing to go through. So it's not that we should ever give up, right? The idea is things aren't that easy. I still see people today doing that online, thinking they can post in a Facebook group or post somewhere where they know that other people are purportedly looking for freedom and looking to escape the matrix. But there's so much more to building relationships and building friendships. I do think that there should be attempts because we can see that humans do have the ability to organize. They do have the ability to go to rock concerts. They do have the ability to do a number of different things. One thing I've mentioned before is that we see like the Boy Scouts and clubs, even if, it's martial arts or something revolving around sports, people are typically tribal. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's when the tribalism is based on warlike behavior unnecessarily, right? When it's not self-defense and it's like manufactured mind control, things that we're seeing in today's day and age. But what about people coming together? And I've talked about this throughout the entirety of my my period on YouTube. People that make videos but are on this, how do I describe this? Because it's been so co-opted. But yes, the alt-right today is an arbitrary word to describe something that's become a community of supposed truthers. But if you want to go beyond the left-right paradigm and some of those specific identity politics, we don't have any community movement conferences whatsoever. And so when we talk about like consciousness amongst people on the most basic level, right? There's got to be something. All right, I'm going to switch gears here, and I'm going to get myself some more tea. There are so many comments here, folks. I apologize that I cannot read all of these. The archons, entities, feed off energy. And we talked about social media earlier. So there's a lot of energy that's fed upon us when we're addicted to some of those platforms, right? So maybe there's an agenda to get our relationships onto these social media platforms while the real relationships are suffering. I was saying earlier, social media can facilitate in ways that never existed before, people of unique interests to find each other, but they have to weed through the noise. Sometimes in cases, people have to weed through the comment sections. By the way, I've given a lot of thought to an alternative to just the YouTube comment section. Maybe it's Discord. I'm open to some recommendations. I have a Discord, but I'm not really using it at the moment or logged in. So it's not posted anywhere, but I do have a Discord. But I'm looking for something that can serve as a decent forum, especially with discussions about spirituality and psychic self-defense, spiritual protection, spiritual attacks. These are specialized topics. Some topics I think should be on private forums for people that are interested in that particular topic. So I'm still all ears for ways we can people can network. There's 12 years into this, and I've had my YouTube channel since 2006. What could people be building? You know, I could be building to a certain degree my subscriber base, but people were even saying earlier, Alex used to get way more views back in the day. Even they can see it. And they're bearing witness to you, testifying, these people that have been around for a number of years. I used to get more views. That something's changed, right? So we need to change. We need to up our game with how we reach our audience members and encouraging people that watch our platforms. This is advice for those of you that have YouTube channels as well, that as we build up our audiences, that people get in the habit of signing up to our newsletters, following the other social media pages, understanding that if they wait for us in the future for the robot to serve us up and say, here's such and such's last video, they may be waiting a long time. It sounds like that type of digital apocalypse is already upon us. So we're right now weathering multiple storms. We're discussing the spiritual attacks going on in the world. We're discussing the geopolitics that are taking place now. I don't always get deep into it, but I've talked about this coming war with the East. And as this is happening, people like me are losing our social media reach. At the same time, people like Anna, people like others, people that leave comments on the channel, people that even if you can't even donate a single quarter, doesn't matter. People that say something as simple as, thank you for sharing a perspective that I thought that was only my perspective. I've gotten thousands of comments in real life and in the comment section. Real life is in person. Like when I used to meet Portlanders back in the day. And they would say, as I would meet them at the market, they would look at me shocked, like, I can't believe that a person like you is still alive. And this was 12 years ago. So we've come a long ways, folks, in positive and negative ways. We've come a long way in the sense that I can come to you on a live stream like this. We've also come a long way to where some people don't realize some of us are old school, even if we're a little bit on the younger side. Because there are so many people now on YouTube, and the vast majority of a lot of people out there that are in the alternative media, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, it's just not meant to be insulting to them. I can't listen to it. Some of the content's really bad, or it's really in line with a different value system, or it could be really based in the left-right paradigm. It can be very difficult to hear that anger from others. When someone's angry that someone doesn't believe that the president's bringing us change we can believe in to make America great again, and they may have great points, right? There may have been people that supported Obama that had great points. But when they throw their support behind an establishment candidate, and they seem to have this war with those that aren't on board that narrative, that's heartbreaking. Don't know what else to say. On that note of heartbreaking, right? Now I have a new item to talk about. I also get annoyed at the crying emojis on Facebook. When people say, in the comment section as there's a massive fire, that it's heartbreaking. And they just repeat that it's heartbreaking because it's a negative affirmation. We have the ability to heal ourselves. I think some people forget that, right? The path to the ultimate truth lies within. Classic traditional Gnostic thought, we also have the ability to heal ourselves. Sometimes social media is awash in negative pools of emoji energies, of crying splatters of energy. Sometimes people get off on that. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed people just congregating around something that they're crying about? Have you ever been annoyed by that? That doesn't necessarily mean that we're anti someone expressing themselves, but how many times are they actually crying? You see, when we start letting little emojis dictate all of our emotions, I really don't know where this is going to go. Okay, the book of Enoch says Victor, or the Nag Hammadi tablets. It seems the truth was strategically broken up and sprinkled around different regions and books. I don't have the Book of Enoch. There's a number of different videos that I've downloaded off YouTube where I'll listen to somebody do a reading and do their own interpretation. Like I said, with a Nagamati, you're going to find different people's interpretations, and some people may grasp to something or a little quote. They may even write a whole book that has a certain spin, and they may try to prop up their own ideology. So there's a number of different perspectives. But when I'm always when I'm at the thrift stores, I'm always going to the book section immediately, right? Looking for information, Gnostic information that, like he said, sprinkled. It's almost as if there's information, just like this bookshelf. I've mentioned before, letting new viewers know that a lot of these like books that I'm showing you aren't books that I've been carrying around most of my life. I didn't have a large book collection when I came to Colorado. I had an RV. A lot of the books that I'm now acquiring, some with Gnostic thought, some of it on the sun, some of it on psychic self-defense, about 5 books on that, 1 book on remote viewing, another book over here where a woman talks about her theories of being sexually assaulted by my lab programs and that whole thing, and then coming to Colorado to heal from her lifetime of trauma. I feel like I'm like collecting dots, kind of like David Icke talks about the dot connector. So when you put out information that you're out there and you're looking for truth and you're looking for answers, truth can find you. Remember the villain from Karate Kid? I'm not looking for trouble. Maybe trouble be looking for you. Anyway, maybe knowledge be looking for you. Knowledge is looking for us. Sometimes we just have to open our heart, like some people say. Open our heart, open our hand, open up our mind, open up our energy. Like writing down on a list some things maybe you're looking for. And you write those things down on a list, and maybe they'll manifest when you're at the thrift store. I'm always going directly to the sports section looking for a new heavy bag. I'm always going maybe looking for a certain thing, and I may be looking for a long period of time without seeing it manifest. And then, sometimes the universe plays practical jokes on us, right? We know we need something. We clearly needed something. The trip is over. Now the trip is over, and I already returned to Colorado. There at the thrift store, they had this awesome backpack that could have been strapped on my back. And instead, and this is for those that don't know, I went to the Los Angeles area because I was so tired of being isolated last winter off the grid. And I went to the thrift store and I grabbed a piece of luggage, right? One of those, like, where you roll it. It has rollers. Yeah, with one roller, like, half fallen off. Talk about being in a situation where you're in Las Vegas. And as I was saying last night, Las Vegas could be a really dark place. You got to be strong going in there, especially if you're a sensitive individual or an empath. That could be a really shocking, try to get back to the comments here. That could be a really shocking experience. And I was smoking cigarettes at the time, so my energy was weak, and I got sick. I was overwhelmed by the sense that I was in the devil's town, and it was too much. I mean, there's a time and a place. And I'm not saying like I'm pure spirit, blah, blah, like I'm some sort of like monk, although I do live somewhat like a monk in isolation, but I'm not perfect. I don't have this Buddha mind of mastery, nor do I ever claim those things or imperfection. I claim to be from a city of Sin City, and I went off grid, and I'm seeking to improve upon myself. Getting back into what Chase Browning was asking in a previous live stream, how does off the grid go along with trying to be a better man? I was just describing, the city is just rich with all of this. Just look over here. Look over here. And a lot of pain. Also, urban environments, live in those areas can make some people mean. Right? Some people that don't want to have a spiritual backbone may end up with a mentality that is just a dog-eat-dog world. Thuggish, ruggish bone. But it gets yours, get a boop, boop. Like we have so much we can look at with all the social engineering of the ghetto mindset, and just the hip-hop generation. Let's just study pop culture of the late 80s moving into the 90s, and just like micro programs that they had going on within our nation. Of course, they're going to end up with gangs in the military. Okay, so and we're hitting like record level longest ever live streams. Remember to thumb up. We have as high as 32 thumb ups on the video last night. We had 33 people watching live. Today we had as high as 20 people watching at once. All videos are demonetized right away. It's funny. It's like a practical joke on Alex. And yet there are people that support this channel. And it's all going to be a matter of which voice is louder, right? For years, there was a certain voice that would pop up and say, what you're doing has no value. Go out and get a real job. Go do something other than be on YouTube. Don't use this platform. Do something else. Go away. And then over a period of time, more people would find the channel and say things like, wow, I can't believe I found this content. And I don't remind them that often, right, about the other forces that are working against this type of content. But never forget that they are there. If we can ever get to a period, right, where ideas that I'm sharing are more widely received by other humans, I'll travel the world, I'll travel the nation. New York City, Florida, Los Angeles, California. I will go to a conference. I never said that there's no reason. I don't have to stay in Colorado. I'm not legally bound to Colorado. I would go to Portland. But what I won't do is travel aimlessly. What I won't do, right, is save up $500, buy a ticket, go, hey, maybe I'll have some fun over here as I stay on the floor of the couch over here. I have an opportunity to continue to share my ideas. And over time, as we move into the latter part of 2018, as support grows for what did I do at Patreon, to where it's not just $100 a month, to where over time, stuff improves. More people find the channel. More people sign up to the newsletter. More people join outtothe.box.vhx.tv. And it's like everybody contributing something. And maybe I'll be able to do more traveling next year. The message needs to be taken out there into the actual world. It can't all be done on YouTube. There are some things that are worth doing. There are ways in which people can organize conferences without needing any money at all. One of the things that I learned in Portland, Oregon is that you can be completely without money and you can use something like a cable access television station in which millions of dollars in HD equipment could just simply be sitting there. And there could be people that are in the community that could be using that. If someone has the means, they like people to spend $100 to be a producer, and that's not a big deal. If people simply cannot afford it, in some cases, they waive that fee. Some people get really anal about that particular detail. But the fact of the matter is, I learned even before I had a YouTube channel that I was born in a particular time, space, reality, and geographic city where we were given the tools to be the media if we wanted to. And people still have that ability, right? Just think about if all these different people were to wake up tomorrow and start live streaming their truth. Like certain women or men, for example, in our society. And they were to unplug from the addictive elements of their smartphone, with all due respect to those that have phones, right? I'm articulating a very specific addiction. You think about those that are addicted to the next text or addicted to certain elements of social media. But just imagine if more people were tapped into their own truth and sharing that truth. If there was an anti-war movement, for example, sounds so cliche, anti-war movement, a pro-peace movement that surpassed the left and the right. What if there was a pro-peace, anti-war movement that encompassed both the left and the right? Is it even imaginable to see that type of unity? What type of suffering and atrocity on the world stage would have to occur for today's fighting in the streets? Portland Antifa versus Proud Boy being trucked into Portland by Joey Gibson. What type of event would bring, say, gangs like that together? What do you think? What type of event would bring together the gangs of Antifa and the gangs of the Proud Boys? What type of major world event would bring like the gangs together for like the truths of the Americans? What would need to take place first? I'll leave you with that. Knock and it shall open, Indigo Scout. This is fun. Also, didn't mean to Overlook AH, leaving a link to the Discord chat. Okay, so, and again, this is experimental. If you want to join, and it seems that when I mean, there's certain things that are popularized across the board as far as platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, things like Discord for forums, things like Patreon for audience support. So I have a Discord. I'm just not really promoting it yet, but we could still do some test runs. Remember, when you're commenting on YouTube, you're commenting kind of like on a government server. Of course, as you guys all know, that all the stuff is being like logged and kept in a big database, and that there is no such thing as anonymity when you're actually posting something, only maybe hiding your identity from others. Because maybe you don't, want it to come back to your job or something later. But as far as people that are involved in seedy things that think that they're anonymous, right? Even if you think you're changing your IP. So it's great to have this ongoing engagement with YouTube, right? But if people really want to start organizing things, I mean, I'm not sold on Discord. I'll see what else is in the comment section. I'm not sold on Discord yet. I've even heard about the government's ability to go in and shut down Discord. So I'm not sold on it yet. I don't know if it's the best platform. But when I look at a website like offgridco.com, I don't know if you knew this, but tens of thousands of people with an interest in private property rights have found offgridco.com. So if I had a technology advisor, which would be great, not like I'm running for office, but I'm one guy with 5 websites, I need logistic help. Okay. There should be simple things set up for off-gridders throughout the United States and elsewhere to organize. When people think that it's being done on Facebook, where Facebook is the place for it, that's not the place for it. Sometimes there is a place for old technology and old style bulletin boards. I think about a less dystopian future and a future to where just like there are niches in entertainment, people like their sports teams. People need to leave the extremist political stuff, right? People got really whipped up in 2015 in Costilla County, and some people brought in some outsiders, and some problems were caused. We don't currently have, I've talked about this in a lot of videos, I'm going to keep it flowing now and move on to another topic. We don't yet have a political movement based on private property rights. So I'd like to kind of enhance the social media element of the internet as we think outside the box of Facebook, Facebook, right? Let us not just blame Facebook and start organizing more effective social media tools. What I'll tell you is a trap is just going to alternatives and then wondering why things aren't better, like minds.com or others. It's good to have alternatives, right? But not all alternatives are going to be hanging around for a while. Now, if you want to recommend a good, solid YouTube alternative, that's okay. I'm not sold that there are any. I believe that if someone has their own independent audience to the thousands, creating your own on-demand, subscriber-only section as a additive or a supplement to YouTube is the way to go. Starting your whole channel again, a whole new free channel again, on a whole other website is like a whole other chunk of someone's lifetime to build up that platform. All of the energy for a lot of people, most people, has been put into YouTube. Once you start seeing something like that tip in a different direction, it isn't necessarily a sign to then jump into D2 full time. So I've stayed away from some of these alternatives because I've seen so many go down. I've seen so many websites go down crashing in a ball of flames. And I've had to keep in check my own conspiratorial way of looking at the world. We may find ourselves held back by YouTube in some way, but we can't play victims. We've got to be grateful for the things that we've got. A lot of people unsubscribe from channels or stop watching live streams because the information isn't deemed to be relevant to them or it's not interesting enough. That doesn't mean that through hard work that we're not going to attract other audience members that are going to stick around for a period of time. Maybe even people that might even be allies, spiritual allies, people that we share information with. One of the things that I was talking about in last night's live stream was coming across the Spark. And he's talking about his battle with entities. And I've talked about my battle with spiritual parasites. When you're talking about stuff like that, in this society, society typically labels that mental illness. And that doesn't feel good, right? But when we start building community amongst people that actually have been there, people that actually know what that's like, especially when you start going to the next level, right? And you start sharing information about what helps people. Does travel help people protect against these negative attacks? How about quitting smoking? If we're addicted to chain smoking, being that I've struggled with that, I can tell you that it's good to not smoke cigarettes. It's good to try to live a more sober lifestyle. I agree that marijuana is a better substance than alcohol. I think that alcohol is a doorway. I also think that some people, right, that also indulge in cannabis use it to escape their own consciousness, which isn't really a conscious thing. It can be used addictively to escape. So a lot of these different things are themes that I've learned over the years, and I have come to understand that I'm not alone. Now, over many years, I have felt alone discussing certain things, say, about the spiritual illness that I felt in Portland, Oregon, how people's spiritual illnesses, what was really the culprit, and looking at why a lot of people in our society end up in hardcore drug addictions and all the other ills that surround that. And I've noticed throughout my life that a lot of these recovery circles and AA meetings, right, seem devoid of that spiritual truth, that spiritual gnosis. Why are certain people really suffering? Why are certain people really killing themselves when they know that they're killing themselves and they know that they're destroying their life? And so even though we're a society with all this technology, right, all this healthcare and Medicaid, it's still very much like left behind in terms of understanding how we tick. Even modern day psychiatry. And now I'm preaching to the choir, finishing this point, then let's read some comments. The very fact they would still recommend drugs, antidepressants to someone that's suffering from depression, instead of go, gee, there might be something buried in this person's consciousness. Why are they suffering from depression? Why are they acting bipolar? Psychiatrists should at least try to find out what's wrong with these people before giving them drugs. Instead, a lot of them seem invested in saying that the technology has gotten better and things of that nature. So, and I'm not saying that some antidepressants can't help some people, but we all know it's overprescribed. So we're still at like a very infantile level of a society understanding people's emotional needs. Something as simple as having someone to talk to. So wrapping this all up, and now I'm going to read some comments, right? Maybe we'll even make the 2-hour mark. If in the 2018 year, the period of time that we're in now, I hear feedback from people, if they understand the things that I'm saying, it makes all these years of sacrifice worth it. All these years of being called crazy. See, I'm not trying to get to like a level of David Icke. I'm not trying to fill up a conference. I'm actually trying to see real-time results that I am helping people. And that some people are getting something from the content. And that makes up for all the negativity that may be thrown at me. You see, but if you start to studying comment sections and people that are trying to help other people, it's not uncommon to come against resistance. Everything has a mic now, remotes, TVs, Alexa. With regards to surveillance, how do we know if the surveillance society is just simply being used by mankind? And I'm behind in the comments because I'm looking upwards. Yes, sooner or later, they just might come for us. Then we show them what true strength is. The final countdown. You need a program that posts to all the platforms at the same time. Well, they do have platforms, but the thing is, right, they discriminate, they're prejudiced against YouTube. You post a YouTube link on Facebook, Facebook's not really like showing that because Facebook's seen as a competitor. So, by the way, we're going back and we're talking about promotion and reaching audience members. Another thing that's been suggested, or that it'll take me a long time to do, but posting like 25-second trailers to Twitter and Facebook to then send them to the YouTube channel, or just post the content to Facebook and Twitter. I'm not really happy how Facebook and Twitter has buried a lot of my content, so I'm not really interested in expanding my video platform on Facebook. But from what I can see, if you do want to reach a lot of people on Facebook, with maybe an emergency bulletin, or hey folks, this is what's going on, or hey, there's a major event over here. Post in a video, even though it's not monetized, if Facebook is going to reach more people on Facebook than a YouTube video. The other way to do it is to post the YouTube video to like a website and then post that website. So you just jump across from topic to topic. Later on, we're going to have Jennifer in here, and she's going to be doing pole dancing lessons. We're going to bring out the pole dance. You guys didn't know I had a whole. I can turn my 10 by 12 shed into a strip club if I wanted to. We don't have a stripper pole, and I'm not encouraging degenerate behavior. But I do enjoy more personal space, privacy, just general overall time to myself than those periods and times in which I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I had roommates, right? And there was a time in Alex Answery lifetime history where I would literally, like with a mic, speak into a mic, and I would be not going live onto YouTube, but I'd be on a website like oraclebroadcasting.com. oraclebroadcasting.com, AmericanFreedomRadio.com, RepublicBroadcastingNetwork.com. I was doing a show with them in 2006. Again, we're talking about like those unity years when it was like, we're all like together and stuff. Now it's branched out. We have all these different niches. The manufactured racial tensions have taken people in whole new directions to where they think that they're still truthers. Doesn't matter what your background is. The illusions of separation are there to keep us in the matrix. It's far deeper. Someone could be waking up to elements of racism, and then by thinking that they can just point their group at one group, right? There's like a whole world of injustice. It's not just one thing. So a lot of reasons you see the mainstream media acting like they care, right, is because they're invested in the civil unrest scenario. Everybody could be at one big table. I'm learning to have fun with it. Watching the amount of people go up and down, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And I was like, I think I was getting upset. I would talk about like praying and whatnot, like 5 people gone at once. Like, let us pray for those people that are being violently removed off the planet, like people dropping off left and right. It's fun. It's fun. Okay, one crazy summer. It is like I am in a 1980s John Cusack movie. Okay, focus, Alex. Focus. I gotta get in the moment. That would make sense to break down family, says Victor. Means a breakdown of harmony, balance. There is safety in numbers. Keeping us physically apart is the old divide and conquer. I wish I was unique with that statement. So yeah, there were a period in which people like us, we would get together and actually drink beers in the same room, and it was normal. It was normal. People would watch my cable access TV show, and once in a while people would buy me beer. I thought that was awesome. Hefeweizen, get the good stuff. Leave that past blue ribbon. It was 2009. We actually at one point had a projector. We got this crazy idea. Maybe we would promote playing a movie night. We'd have movie night. But there just wasn't enough of us. And there is still a group. His name is Marshall. There is a small group of independent thinkers. There's actually a number of rival groups, just like there's rival YouTubers and like alternative media people. There's like different philosophical groups in Portland. There's meetup groups. There's different things. I have different memories. So those things still go on. You still can achieve that. People still do meet up, although I think meetup.com actually charges, isn't it, for you to post? But at one point, there was like this golden age of meetup.com. And there are people that have me on their list accidentally. I've never even, like one lady was putting people on her list in 2012. It was like political debate and drink night. That was Dallas in 2012. I think it was mostly Democrats, and we were like Ron Paulers trying to explain like this other independent side, which wasn't really understood very much by those people. But they were nice people, and they were doing trivia. What I'm saying is human beings still do that. And the dark side of the conspiracy stuff, the reason why we don't have the same, let's not beat each other up, ourselves or others. so much of what we deal with are plots and deceptions and manipulations. And it almost seems like against the nature of those people to get together unless they're getting fanatical with it, or unless there's something really entertaining about it. And there's conspiracy con, there's certain things like that are almost like the Star Wars convention and things of that nature, something like out of a Star Trek convention, where it's almost a little bit geeky, but it's not really rippling anywhere. It's more of like an entertainment thing. I mean, there was a time in which I liked going to like the Portland gun shows, not for the guns, but for the really interesting people that were like selling like the fringe materials at the table. John Trockman, right? I don't know him, but I met him briefly. And it was this idea of like us coming together again, early days, reminisce, right? It wasn't exactly my summer of '69, but the years after 9/11, those crusty VHS tapes. And I felt like that stuff was valuable. Like at any point, the government's going to ban that stuff. Alex Jones, State 2000. I better buy this bootleg, wasn't even the original VHS tape for straight up $9.95. Somebody got gypped. But see, you could be like a young Alex Ansary, and it could be like 2002. Be like, wait a minute, I better get this tapes where they like go extinct and stuff. Like literally, I was in that mindset, by the way, in 2005. That by me going and wanting to meet the big man down in Austin, that maybe there'd be some interference in my travel itineraries. And I didn't have any of that. But when I left Mark Passio's For Your Mind conference in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with my plane set for Denver, Colorado, I was living in Costilla County at the time. And my hair had grown out a little bit then. The Boston event was around that time period. I was directly profiled then. They scan my body and then want to pat me down. Like, wait a minute, isn't one supposed to come before the other? Aren't I allowed to like avoid the radiation if I let you touch me there? They want to touch me and radiate me. Hey, folks, just because my energy explosive doesn't mean that I am. But it was that look of pure hatred from those security people that I thought what they were doing was weird. I wasn't even like denying them anything. Like you want to, but it was like, how dare you show us displeasure with this experience that you're going through, Alex Ansary? And it was just this real strong, like, we hate you. And it was just like, ah. It's just like, whoa, sorry I didn't take my shoes off soon enough. You know what I'm saying? And apparently, if you have a computer, you got to have your computer out. If you make a mistake and you don't have your computer out or something like that with your shoes off, that's going to set off some red alarms. Enough on that story. But that was a concerning episode that makes me never want to fly again. Like, you're going to grab me and give me the radiation? Like, pick one or the other. The mainstream media has degenerated so much that I doubt it could be reformed. And so the propaganda in the reverse psychology, mainstream media, right? Hillary Clinton, others, they hijack talking points from the population. And other elements of the population that doesn't know that they're hijacking narratives, doesn't know that CNN isn't actually working on behalf of positive change. And people may know about the corruption of some of these industries, so they're just covering this because they're just now trying to demonize this other group. So the mainstream media, when we talk about, it's beyond Islamophobia. We're talking about widespread fear of Middle Eastern people in general and the way that certain stories have been reported, especially with regards to those things. So if you look at CNN during Obama, they're amping up fear. I gotta turn something off here. Okay, we are running low on power because we don't have much sun, so we're gonna close. The media